Lieutenant Commander Sato's fingers trembled slightly as he opened a direct channel to Mars Command. The 17 unknown vessels had just crossed Neptune's orbit and showed no signs of slowing. Their formation, a perfect arrowhead, spoke of military precision. This is Epsilon Station to Mars Command. Unidentified vessels continuing inbound trajectory. No response to hails on any frequency. Requesting instructions. The 3-minute communication delay felt like an eternity. Sato turned to his sensor specialist, Corporal Zhang, who shook her head. Still nothing, sir. Their hull composition doesn't match anything in our database. Energy signatures are unusual. They're running hot, much hotter than necessary for propulsion alone. When Mars Command finally responded, the message was simple. Hold position. Indomitable battle group en route. Maintain observation protocols. Captain Eliza Chen was observing cadet training exercises in the Mars Defense Zone when the alert reached her neural interface. The cadets noticed her expression shift instantly from instructional to command mode. Training exercise terminated, she announced. Return to base. Indomitable crew. Battle stations. Within 12 minutes, the UEF Indomitable and its escort group of 4 frigates and 6 destroyers were breaking orbit, accelerating toward the outer system at maximum sustainable thrust. Chen studied the sensor data from Epsilon Station in her command chair. Tactical assessment. Rodriguez, she ordered. Commander Rodriguez's dark eyes narrowed as he studied his displays. Formation suggests coordinated military action. Size differentials indicate a hierarchical fleet structure. 1 main vessel, likely command, surrounded by support craft. They're maintaining communications discipline. No detected transmissions between vessels. Options. Standard first contact protocols dictate peaceful approach. However, Rodriguez hesitated. The formation suggests offensive intent. I recommend yellow alert status and shields at full. Chen nodded. Make it so. Communications. Continue broadcasting gratings on all standard frequencies and mathematical sequences. Let's assume they don't understand our language, not that they're deliberately ignoring us. As the Indomitable battle group approached the asteroid belt, Science Officer Dr. Patil rushed onto the bridge. Captain, I've analyzed the spectral data from the unknown vessels. Their hull material contains trace elements not naturally occurring in our system. These ships were constructed elsewhere. Definitive proof of extraterrestrial origin. Chen acknowledged this with a tight nod. Humanity had speculated about alien life for centuries. But this moment, first contact, was unfolding as a potential military confrontation rather than the peaceful exchange scientists had hoped for. Time to intercept, Chen asked. 4 hours, 17 minutes at current velocity. The navigation officer responded. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. Chen's voice remained steady despite the gravity of the moment. Deploy reconnaissance drones at maximum sensor range. I want detailed scans before we're within weapons range. Assuming they have weapons. Lieutenant Park's voice came through comms. Captain, the alien vessels have altered course. They're accelerating toward us. Intercept time now 3 hours, 42 minutes. Chen's eyes narrowed. They've detected us and are adjusting. That answers one question. Their sensors are at least as good as ours. New data coming in, Rodriguez reported, his voice tense. The alien vessels are reconfiguring their external components. Energy readings spiking across their forward sections. Weapons systems, Chen concluded grimly. Red alert. Full battle stations. Notify Earth Command that first contact appears hostile. Deploy defensive countermeasures and prepare all systems for engagement. Humanity's first encounter with alien life was about to become humanity's first interstellar war. Supreme Commander Xelthrak's inner eyelids flicked with amusement as the holographic display showed the approaching human vessels. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the command deck's blue lighting as he circled the tactical projection. These are their warships. He clicked to Sub-Commander Vexnar. Primitive thrust systems, minimal energy shielding, no sign of dimensional phasing capabilities. Vexnar consulted his data terminal. Our preliminary assessment categorizes them as Development Stage 3, basic interplanetary capability, but no effective defensive technology. They achieved nuclear fission only 400 solar cycles ago. Zelthrak's mandibles clicked rapidly, the Vordak's equivalent of dismissive laughter. Another simple subjugation, then. The Imperium grows tired of these predictable conquests. The settlement scouts report unusual technological development patterns, Vexnar noted cautiously. Their advancement curve is erratic rather than linear. They developed rudimentary artificial intelligence before achieving reliable fusion power. Irrelevant. Prepare the standard demonstration. Destroyer Vengeance will eliminate their lead vessels while the rest observe. The typical psychological breakdown should follow. On the bridge of Destroyer Vengeance, Commander Krell received his orders with practiced efficiency. His vessel broke formation, accelerating toward the human ships with weapon systems charging. Target their lead vessel, he ordered his weapons officer. Commence firing when energy capacity reaches optimal levels. The Vengeance's forward energy cannons glowed with building power. The human vessels should have maintained their approach course, as all other species had done when faced with superior Vordak's technology. Instead, the formation instantly scattered in seemingly random directions. Unpredictable evasion pattern. The tactical officer reported with confusion, unable to establish targeting solutions. Krellvox hissed with irritation. They're simply disorganized in their panic. Isolate the largest vessel and concentrate fire. The Vengeance fired its main energy beam, a weapon that had sliced through the defenses of 17 different civilizations. The beam carved toward the UEF Indomitable, but struck only empty space as the human vessel executed a maneuver that Vordak's tactical systems classified as impossible without structural failure. They anticipated our firing solution, the tactical officer said, mandibles twitching with disbelief. Recalculating. Commander, the sensor officer interrupted. They're deploying. Objects. Hundreds of small metallic objects erupted from the human vessels, spreading in a cloud around the Vengeance. The Vordak sensors identified them as simple metal debris, primitive chaff, barely worth registering. Ignore the diversion, Krellbox ordered. Fire again. The Vengeance's energy beam lanced out once more and struck several pieces of the metallic chaff. What happened next defied Vordak's understanding. The energy beam reflected and fragmented, creating a cascading energy reaction that sent electromagnetic pulses rippling back toward the Vengeance. Shields fluctuating. The defensive systems officer reported, panic entering his voice, an emotion rarely expressed in Vordak's military operations. Unknown interaction with our energy matrix. As the Vengeance's shields destabilized, the human vessels launched projectiles, primitive by Vordak standards, but precisely targeted. These quantum torpedoes phased through the weakened shields and detonated against the hull. On his command ship, Zelthrak watched in stunned silence as the Vengeance broke apart in a series of secondary explosions. His finest destroyer, veteran of 87 planetary subjugations, destroyed by a species that had barely reached their own moon 3 centuries ago. Impossible, he whispered, a strange sensation spreading through his thorax. After a moment, he recognized it. Fear. 3 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains, the Global Defense Chamber hummed with tense activity. Holographic displays showed the ongoing battle in real time, the feed occasionally distorting as energy weapons disrupted communications relays. Fleet Admiral Hayes stood at the center of the room, his weathered face illuminated by the tactical displays. Government representatives from 17 nations surrounded the main table, their expressions ranging from barely contained panic to grim determination. Tell me again how one of our battle groups just destroyed an alien warship, the European Union representative demanded. We've barely established colonies on Mars. Admiral Wei, a slender woman whose calm demeanor belied her brilliant tactical mind, stepped forward. "The question isn't how we destroyed one of their ships," she said quietly. "The question is why they attacked now." The room fell silent as Y manipulated the holographic display, highlighting the alien fleet's approach vector. They bypassed our outer system monitoring stations using some form of stealth technology, yet made no attempt to conceal themselves once inside Neptune's orbit. This wasn't a surprise attack. It was a deliberate show of force. Dr. Elaine Mbeki, head of quantum physics at the Pan-African Science Directorate, moved to join Y at the display. "I believe I know why," she said. 3 weeks ago, we achieved breakthrough results with the quantum entanglement communications experiment. The energy signature would have been detectable at considerable distance. You're suggesting they attacked because of a scientific breakthrough?" the Chinese representative asked skeptically. "Not just any breakthrough," Mbeki replied. QEC technology would allow instantaneous communication across any distance. A civilization that relies on conventional communication methods for their empire would see this as a significant strategic threat. Hayes studied the battle telemetry coming in from Captain Chen's forces. They expected an easy victory. Their tactical approach shows contempt, not caution. "They miscalculated," Wei added. "Humans have been fighting each other for millennia. Our military doctrine evolved through countless conflicts against thinking, adapting opponents. These aliens appear to have experience only with overwhelming technological superiority." On screens around the chamber, civilian responses to the emergency played out in real time. Manufacturing facilities across North America shifted production to military components. Retired military personnel reported for duty without being called. Civilian spacecraft volunteered for reconnaissance missions. "Their intelligence on us is flawed," Hayes concluded. "They see our technological level but miss our adaptability." The Indian representative leaned forward. "If they've conquered other worlds, as Dr. Mbeki suggests, they must have overwhelming numbers. How do we defend against that?" Wei's expression remained perfectly composed. "By making victory cost more than they're willing to pay. We need to deploy the Lazarus Protocol." Murmurs erupted around the table. The Lazarus Protocol was the most closely guarded secret in Earth's defense arsenal. Experimental ships and weapons systems developed for exactly this scenario. "Those systems are untested," the Russian representative objected. "So is alien invasion," Hayes countered. "Unanimous vote required. All in favor." One by one, the representatives activated their approval codes. "Lazarus Protocol authorized," the Chamber's AI announced. Activation codes transmitted to deep space facilities. Hayes turned to the communications officer. "Send word to Captain Chen. Help is coming, and it's bringing hell with it." Captain Chen guided the Indomitable through the debris field of Lunar Defense Station Echo, using the scattered wreckage to mask her ship's energy signature. The station's destruction had cost 200 lives, but its sacrifice had drawn 3 Vordax cruisers into position for Chen's counterstrike. "Maintain emission control," she ordered softly. "Lieutenant Park, status of your squadron." Park's voice came through the secure channel, barely above a whisper as if the Vordax might somehow hear. "Strike Squadron Manticore in position, Captain. All pilots report ready." Chen studied the tactical display showing the Vordax vessels sweeping the area with sensor pulses. Their search pattern was methodical but predictable. They moved in perfect geometric sequences, optimized for efficiency but lacking imagination. "They fight like they've never faced an enemy who could hurt them," Commander Rodriguez observed from tactical. "No irregular maneuvers, no defensive screens." "Transmission from Admiral Wei," the communications officer announced. "Lazarus Protocol activated. Authorization code confirmed." Chen's expression remained neutral, but her pulse quickened. The experimental systems integrated into the Indomitable during its last refit were finally cleared for deployment. "Acknowledge receipt," she replied, "and inform Strike Squadron to prepare Phase 1. Rodriguez, activate the quantum field generator." A slight vibration passed through the ship as the QFG powered up. The device, reverse-engineered from theoretical physics, created a localized field that scattered sensor readings unpredictably. "Execute Mongol feint," Chen ordered. Lieutenant Park's 12 fighters erupted from their hiding places among the debris, accelerating directly toward the largest Vordax cruiser in a seemingly suicidal charge. The Vordax responded instantly, energy weapons lancing out to intercept. "They took the bait," Rodriguez reported. Energy signatures show their diverting power from sensors to weapons. The fighters scattered at the last possible moment, each releasing small, specialized drones that attached to the Vordax hull before the aliens could reorient their weapons. The drones began broadcasting false targeting data throughout the Vordax network. Chen nodded to her weapons officer. "Execute Testudo formation." The Indomitable and its escort vessels emerged from the debris field in tight formation, overlapping their shield harmonics according to Dr. Mbiki's theoretical model. The Vordax cruisers fired immediately, only to watch their energy beams deflect harmlessly off the combined shields. "Quantum torpedoes, full spread," Chen ordered. "Target their propulsion systems." The torpedoes, humanity's newest weapon, phased partially out of normal spacetime as they launched, becoming temporarily intangible to conventional shields. They rematerialized only when inside the Vordax defensive perimeter. Commander Liang's voice crackled over comms from the damaged frigate Poseidon. "Captain, our reactor containment is failing. Request permission for final protocol." Chen closed her eyes briefly. "Permission granted, Commander. Your sacrifice will be remembered." The crew evacuated the Poseidon via emergency transporters as Commander Liang programmed a final course, directly into the main Vordax flagship's propulsion system. The wounded frigate accelerated to ramming speed. On the Vordax command ship, alarms blared as contradictory targeting data flooded their systems. Supreme Commander Xelthrak watched in growing horror as his perfect formation dissolved into chaos. His vessels fired at sensor ghosts while ignoring real threats. His communications network transmitted corrupted data. "Impossible," he hissed as the crippled human vessel smashed into his flagship's engine section. "These primitives fight like no species we have ever encountered." For the first time in Vordax history, a battle group commander considered the unthinkable option: retreat. Supreme Commander Xelthrak's command chamber filled with the acrid scent of fear pheromones as damage reports flooded the neural interfaces. The flagship's propulsion system remained offline after the human vessel's suicide attack. 3 cruisers had been disabled by the strange phasing torpedoes. Communication with the fleet was sporadic, corrupted by the humans' electronic warfare. "Impossible," Xelthrak chittered, mandibles clicking in agitation. They were classified as Development Stage 3, primitive, pre-stellar dominance. Sub-Commander Vexnar approached cautiously, his exoskeleton showing signs of battle damage. "Supreme Commander, our tactical assessment was flawed. Request permission to execute strategic withdrawal to regroup and retreat." Xelthrak's upper limbs snapped outward in the gesture that had preceded the execution of subordinates 17 times during his command. The Vordax Imperium does not retreat from primitives. He moved to the secure command console and entered his authentication sequence. A compartment slid open, revealing a crystalline activation key. "Prepare the world cleaver. If we cannot have this world, no one shall." Vexinar's inner eyelids flickered with shock. "Supreme Commander, the Directive of Conquest forbids planetary destruction without hierarchical authorization. This species may be suitable for integration rather than elimination." Xelthrak's appendage closed around the activation key. "I have studied the human transmissions. They are dangerously unpredictable. Their social structures lack proper hierarchy. They value individual action over collective obedience." His voice lowered. The intelligence assessment classified them as evolutionary anomaly with destruction priority. The command deck trembled as another explosion rocked the flagship. Secondary power systems failed, plunging sections of the bridge into darkness. "Vexinar, input your authorization code." Zelthrak demanded, inserting the crystal key into the World Cleaver console. The sub-commander hesitated, secondary limbs twitching in the subtle gesture of refusal. Supreme Commander, I request additional assessment. This species fights with unexpected skill. Perhaps terms could be discussed. Their technological innovations could benefit. Zelthrak's blade appendage extended in a blur of motion, slicing through Vexenar's central nervous column. The sub-commander collapsed, neural fluid pooling beneath his twitching body. I will enter the code myself, Zelthrak hissed, reaching for the console with his primary manipulator. A blinding flash filled the command deck as a section of the wall disintegrated. Human figures in powered combat armor surged through the breach, weapons firing with precision. Captain Chen led the boarding team, her armor scorched from fighting through the flagship's corridors. Secure the command deck, she ordered as her team systematically neutralized the Vordax guards. Dr. Patel, find their central computer node. Zelthrak roared in fury, his combat appendages extending fully as he charged toward Chen. Her armor's enhanced reflexes barely allowed her to dodge his initial strike, the blade appendage slicing through a console instead of her torso. Their commander, she warned her team, firing a pulse of energy that only momentarily staggered the massive alien. Concentrate fire. As Zelthrak prepared for another attack, his gaze fell upon a data display still functioning nearby. It showed something impossible. Human vessels appearing from hyperspace at the edge of the system. Vessels that hadn't been there before. Hidden vessels. The Lazarus fleet had arrived. You deceived us, Zelthrak realized as the human weapons finally penetrated his exoskeleton. You concealed your true strength. Captain Chen approached the dying alien commander, her helmet retracting to reveal her face. No. You just never bothered to truly understand your enemy. Admiral Wei stood in Earth's orbital command center, her slim fingers dancing across the holographic interface as she orchestrated humanity's counterattack. The newly arrived Lazarus fleet, experimental vessels hidden in deep space installations, had turned the tide of battle, but the Vordax still outnumbered human forces 3-1. Dr. Mbiki, status of Operation Feedback Loop. Wei asked, her voice calm despite the chaos unfolding across multiple tactical displays. Dr. Mbiki's hologram flickered beside her, the quantum physicist coordinating from her laboratory beneath the Sahara. Calibrations complete, Admiral. The broadcast frequency precisely matches the Vordax neural network. Every human ship and ground installation is synchronized and ready. Wei nodded once. Execute. Across the battlefield, human vessels and installations simultaneously activated specialized transmitters. The signal, designed to create a cascading feedback loop in the Vordax neural network, propagated at light speed. To human sensors, nothing appeared to happen. To the Vordax, the effect was catastrophic. On the captured Vordax flagship, Captain Chen witnessed the impact firsthand as she secured the command center. The remaining alien crew clutched their sensory appendages, their exoskeletons trembling violently as contradictory commands flooded their neural implants. Dr. Patel, status. Chen called to her engineer, who was interfacing with the alien computer systems. Patel's fingers flew across the alien console he had partially reconfigured. Their entire command network runs on quantum entanglement principles, similar to our theoretical models but far more advanced. Their ships aren't just communicating, they're neurologically linked. Can you access it? Chen asked. Better, Patel replied, a grim smile forming. I can reprogram it. Their security algorithms never anticipated internal access. They're not used to enemies boarding their vessels. Send shutdown commands to their fleet, Chen ordered. Let's end this. Patel initiated the sequence, and across the battlefield, Vordax vessels began powering down one by one, their weapon systems deactivating as conflicting commands paralyzed their crews. On the ruined command deck, a damaged console suddenly blared with warning tones. Lieutenant Camara rushed to investigate. Captain, the flagship's power core is entering overload sequence. Detonation in 7 minutes. Chen turned to the dying Supreme Commander Xelthrak, whose mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. "You may win this battle," the alien wheezed in its translator-assisted voice, "but you will not take me prisoner. Evacuate now," Chen ordered her team. "Download everything you can from their systems, then get to the shuttles." As her team rushed to comply, Chen knelt briefly beside the alien commander. "Why attack us? We sent peace messages into space for centuries." Xelthrak's compound eyes flickered with fading light. "Because you would become what you have proven to be. Dangerous. Unpredictable. The only species in 17 conquests to defeat a Vordax battle group." His breathing labored. "The Imperium will come for you now. You have made yourselves known." Chen's team escaped with minutes to spare, shuttles blasting away from the flagship as its power core reached critical levels. The explosion illuminated space like a miniature sun. The flagship and 3 nearby Vordax cruisers vaporized instantly. The remaining alien vessels, receiving no guidance from their destroyed command center and crippled by the neural disruption, began jumping to hyperspace, retreating in disarray. From her command center, Admiral Wei watched the enemy signatures disappearing from sensors. "Battle assessment," she requested. "Victory, Admiral," her tactical officer replied, voice tight with emotion. "Earth is secure. The enemy is in retreat." Wei closed her eyes briefly. Not victory, merely survival. And not the end, but the beginning. 57 days after the Battle of Earth, Dr. Patel's team made the breakthrough. Working around the clock in a secure facility beneath Geneva, they had finally decrypted the Vordax navigational database. "It's not just star charts," Patel explained to the assembled military and political leaders. "It's a complete catalog of inhabited systems." The Vordax Imperium spans 27 star systems and had subjugated 17 other species before attempting Earth. Admiral Wei studied the holographic display of the galactic map. "And these green markers? Those represent what the Vordax classified as client species, civilizations they conquered and then integrated into their empire as subordinate races." Captain Chen, recently promoted to Commodore following the battle, pointed to several flashing indicators near the edge of the map. "What about these?" "That's where it gets interesting," Patel replied, expanding the section. "These represent species that resisted Vordax conquest, but were ultimately contained rather than conquered. The Vordax considered them too troublesome to rule but too dangerous to ignore." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth was not alone in the universe, not by far. And some of these other species had also resisted the Vordax. 3 days later, long-range sensors detected new vessels approaching the solar system. Unlike the aggressive Vordax formation, these ships maintained a respectful distance and broadcast clear, mathematical sequences indicating peaceful intentions. 7 different vessel designs, Rodriguez reported from the sensor station of the newly repaired Indomitable. Based on the Vordax database, they represent 7 different species, all classified as either conquered worlds or contain threats. "They're requesting a diplomatic meeting," Communications Officer Singh added. The message repeats in mathematical sequence, then what appears to be an attempt at English. "They're asking permission to approach Earth." The newly constructed Geneva space platform became humanity's first diplomatic reception center for extraterrestrial visitors. Representatives from 7 different species arrived in delegations of 3 to 5 members each. Their physical forms varied wildly, from the insectoid Kirathi to the gaseous Nuan entities contained in specially designed environmental suits. Ambassador Trelnar of the Arcturian Collective, a tall humanoid with iridescent blue skin, addressed the Earth delegation with obvious wonder. "We detected the destruction of a Vordax battle group and came to verify the impossible." The translator rendered in slightly stilted English. "No species has defeated the Vordax in open battle for 7,000 years." Commodore Chen, selected to represent Earth's military, responded carefully. "We defended our home. Nothing more." Trelnar's head tilted in a gesture that the cultural specialists identified as skepticism. Yet you destroyed their flagship, captured their technology, and forced a retreat. The Vordax conquer or destroy. They never retreat. Ambassador Shu from the United Earth government leaned forward. Perhaps you could help us understand our position. Are we now at war with an entire empire? The alien representatives exchanged glances, their various appendages and sensory organs displaying what the human sinologists tentatively identified as amazement. You truly do not understand what you have accomplished. Trelnar said finally. The Vordax will return, yes. But news of their defeat travels quickly. Already, 2 subjugated worlds have begun resistance movements. The alien paused, compound eyes reflecting the room's light. We came not just to witness. We came to propose an alliance. The UEF Indomitable hovered majestically above Jupiter's great red spot, its hull gleaming with the integrated technology of 3 different species. 6 months of collaboration with alien allies had transformed the vessel into something unprecedented, a hybrid of human ingenuity and extraterrestrial science. Commodore Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood on the observation deck watching the final shuttle approach with the last members of her crew. The Indomitable's mission marked humanity's first official venture beyond the solar system, part diplomatic mission, part scientific exploration, part unspoken warning to the Vordax Imperium. Quite a view, Dr. Mbiki commented, joining Chen at the viewport. Jupiter was once the furthest humans had explored. Now we're about to leave it behind entirely. Chen nodded. The Arcturians say there are worlds with storms that would make the Great Red Spot look like a gentle breeze. I hope to see them someday. The ship's intercom activated. Admiral, the crew is assembled in the main hangar as requested. When Chen entered the vast hangar bay, she was met with a sight unimaginable just 1 year earlier. Human officers stood alongside representatives from 3 allied species. 2 Arcturians with their shimmering blue skin, a Kerethi engineer whose insectoid features had initially unnerved the human crew until they discovered his unexpected sense of humor, and a Muan navigator whose gaseous form swirled with patterns of thought within a specialized containment suit. Attention on deck. Commander Rodriguez called, and the assembled crew snapped to attention, each species following their own cultural equivalent of the gesture. Chen surveyed her crew with quiet pride before speaking. 6 months ago, humanity stood alone against an enemy we never knew existed. Today, we embark as partners in something unprecedented, a coalition of free worlds. She gestured to the modified ship around them. The Indomitable carries not just our hopes, but our commitment to a new kind of relationship among the stars. We didn't ask to become warriors, but we fought when necessary. Now we must show the same determination in building peace. The Admiral moved among her crew, making eye contact with humans and aliens alike. The Arcturians have given us faster-than-light technology. The Kerethi have enhanced our defensive systems. The Muan have shared navigational knowledge spanning thousands of years. But we have given something in return that they value even more. A demonstration that the Vordax can be defeated. She stopped before a view screen showing their planned expedition route. Our mission takes us to the edges of Vordax territory, establishing diplomatic and trade relations with worlds seeking independence. Intelligence reports that Vordax vessels now retreat when they detect human signatures among potential targets. Our mere presence has become a shield for others. Chen returned to the center of the hangar. Tomorrow we depart for the Cygnus Reach, a region where 6 former Vordax subjects have declared independence. They've requested Earth's partnership not from fear, but from genuine respect. She looked at her assembled crew one final time. Humanity no longer walks alone among the stars. We carry with us the legacy of Earth, resilience born from struggle, unity formed from diversity, and strength tempered by compassion. These qualities once made us targets. Now they make even the mightiest powers tremble. As the crew dispersed to their stations, Admiral Chen made one final log entry. We journey forward not as conquerors, but as explorers. And where we go, freedom follows.